Hi, Brian. Thank you for joining us. How are you?
I'm fine.
We have a whole room full of people here that can't wait to hear from you and talk to you. So what we're going to do is we're going to have them come up one at a time to ask you questions. But before we do that, would you just like to tell us how you've been and what you've been up to?
Yeah, what I've been doing is designing spacecraft based on eagles and things like that for a possible future show, but nothing definite yet.
Very cool. And when is this is this in pre-production right now, or when do you think?
No, it's not even that far yet. I'm just doing it for somebody as a speculative sort of venture.
I see. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll have people come up to ask you questions, and we'll do it one at a time. So please come down.
Come on, I know you got questions.
Yeah.
Hi, Brian. I won't put you on the spot. We actually met around 1980 at Pinewood when I was working with Jerry Anderson. My name is Dave Hirsch. I am actually the proud owner of the original 11-inch Eagle model. And I've always wanted to ask you, the pod that they used for the lab pod in the second season actually cropped up in the first season. And I always wanted to know, what was the original intent of that pod design? Did it have a particular purpose?
Well, the idea was originally that we had so many eagles stored away with various bits and pieces. I have no idea what that was used for. It was just a bit of stuff that we could throw in if it was needed. Sorry, I can't be any more specific than that because there was no. It was just slightly different from some of the other pods and so on.
So you just like the look of it?
Yeah.
Well. Thank you. It's being cared for very well, the model. We brought it here for everyone to see.
Which model have you got?
The 11-inch one, the smaller one that you had for the original series.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, so I've got that. I've got all the little modules for it, so we've got a nice little display set up.
Wow. You do realize that all those models were all very slightly differently airbrushed. They were never all identical models.
Oh, yes. And I could see that the model had been repainted a couple of times since it was used a lot in the first season.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes it got splashed with different color things and had to be, resprayed.
Yeah, it looked like it had some banging up too, because it's pieces are a little off center, missing.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
We had to do 6 shots a day, so we were rushing to get things done.
You did great work in the time you were given.
Well, we tried hard.
It's great, thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else? Got some good questions here.
Hello, Mr. Johnson. This is Christopher. I enjoyed having dinner with you at the Peterborough convention. I was at your table, fortunate enough to be at your table, and I really enjoyed listening to your stories.
Did you have that much of a beard the last time I saw you?
Possibly, yes. It's a little grayer. It's a little grayer now. But what I wanted to ask you, I really enjoyed hearing your stories about your career and the people that you worked with, the actors and directors. Specifically Stanley Kubrick and Tom Cruise. I was wondering if perhaps you could relate some of those stories again.
Well, obviously working with Stanley was pretty good for me. I just really starting off on getting into science fiction stuff. In 1964 was when I started on 2001. And so I was just one of the boys working for Doug Trumbull, Wally Gentleman, Wally Davis, and various other people. And so Stanley was a pretty important figure in my life, and he used me to sort of play off against Wally Davis. So we had to design similar things like the inside the when they were running around kind of the screens inside there. Wally had designed one idea and I designed another one. Mine was simpler and more straightforward and brighter. So Stanley picked mine much to my other bosses, didn't talk to me for about 2 months for that. Outstanding. He played everybody off against everybody else. He's fascinating to work for. Fantastic man for composition because of his experience with cameras and Look magazine and things like that. And as for Tom Cruise, well, it was only on Legend that I got involved with seeing Tom Cruise. He was very young then. I mean, I think he was only 16, 15 or 16. And I don't think he discovered all those planets way out in beyond where he apparently came from. He was much down to earth. And, but that was the only time it was on Legend. And because he was involved running around a lot and doing stuff to camera, there were any effects stuff involved with him, really. So there we go.
Okay, thank you so much.
Hey. It's gone quiet.
Yep, I'm here. It's me again.
Hi.
Hey, I know you're gonna, don't shoot the messenger, but we need to talk about that VIP Eagle again. Apparently people didn't understand your response last time, so.
I'll try it clearer.
Okay, there you go. You're on.
Okay, well, we made a number of different pods to go with the Eagle for various episodes that were coming up. Some of the episodes we hadn't even read. We knew that they were possibly going to be needed. And so we had these pods made, and one of them was a pod that had stripes on it. And we had no knowledge as to what it was used for before. It was just as a pile of stuff in the hangar. And it was used on various things. And the art department painted theirs slightly different to the ones we had. So that's why there's a discrepancy there.
Okay, the biggest thing that all these modelers out here and other people have wanted to know is where the pod, where the top of the door is, there's a little overhang for the roof.
Yeah.
Was the whole pod orange, or was it just the bottom underneath the roof part? From the top of the door down. Do you remember?
Was it void inside?
Was it orange on the outside? Was the complete pod orange, or was the top white like the others, and then the bottom part orange?
You're being very unfair. It's 40 years ago.
I knew I was going to get this.
If you look in I know I sort of tried to see what the differences were, but I mean, it's so hard to see in the first series. You can see there's a bit of red on top, but you can't really see whether it's red and white. And so I can't answer that question really. I honestly can't. Sorry.
Okay, that's good enough for me.
Was it only painted on one side?
Did you only paint on one side for the shooting, or was that pod used for?
It was painted. I think it was painted symmetrically. I don't think there was. We didn't used to do just one-sided things. So.
Okay. Good.
That's important to know.
Okay, I'm going to give you to somebody else.
Okay.
Hi, Brian. This is Dean from Rochester, New York.
Didn't catch your name?
Oh, Dean.
Dean, hi Dean.
Good. I was wondering, did you ever imagine that the models that you guys were working with and the scenes that you filmed would become as big a star in that show as the actors and the stories?
Yeah. If you told me 40 years ago that you and I would be talking, as we are talking, about a model that I designed that long ago, you could have knocked me down with a feather. I just never thought it was. My criticism with Space 1999 was it was fun to work on. First of all, the scripts. I think the scripts were not great scripts compared with, say, Star Trek, which had real stories. Our stories weren't that good. Chris Penfold, who's a master script supervisor, wasn't really given much to play with. And the idea of the moon being pushed away from the Earth by by a simple atomic blast was, I couldn't take that at all. It wasn't real for me at all. So I had to bear that in mind. So when I designed the Eagle, I did some sketches. Then I got a draftsman who was a really good guy, and he turned it into proper mechanical drawing. They weren't quite long enough, so we photocopied it and then extended it until it looked right. And then that's Eagle sort of happened.
Well, we really appreciate it as modelers, or a lot of us are modelers, and we have loved that. And then the round 2 Eagle that came out recently is even way better than the 12-inch that we had. So
my key for the design, part of the design of the Eagle, was that when Doug Trumbull and I were working on the moon bus on 2001, and I paid homage to 2001 with design of the base itself and everything else, because 2001 was really one of my things I really liked doing. And so when Doug and I were working on the moon bus, I said to him, if we're going to redesign this, because it was pretty clunky and we had to add bits and pieces of plastic kit on it and stuff to lighten it up a bit, I would have given it a sort of space frame, like a Maserati sports car. Did sketches of a birdcage Maserati structure over the top of what I thought a spacecraft, a moon bus should look like. And then I threw them away when I was working on 2001. I wish I kept them, actually. That's what I went back to when Jerry handed me the script for Space 1999. I immediately thought of those things that I sketched on 2001. There we go.
Well, we loved them. Thank you very much.
That's my pleasure. Thank you.
Hi, Brian. I'm Steve from Quebec, Canada.
Oh, Steve from Canada. Hooray!
Yes. I've been a fan of your work throughout my life, ever since the Supermarionation shows, and I was curious mostly about your early career and when you started out with Derek Meddings and the work you did with Jerry Anderson on the Supermarionations, and what lesson did you take of that that followed you throughout your career?
The thing was, before I worked with Derek, I worked for my mentor, a guy called Les Bowie, who was a very good special effects man, great lateral thinker. And I worked for him on a lot of Hammer film productions, and all sorts of Taste of Blood, Pirates of Blood River, and all sorts of other things. And then I went into the Air Force for National Service, draft you call. And then when I came out, I worked for Les Bowie again. And then Derek, who'd also been working for Les Bowie, called me and said he was doing something for Jerry Anderson called Fireball XL5. No, Supercar, that's right. And he was a bit short-staffed and could I give him a hand occasionally. So I gave him a hand, and then that went from a bit of Fireball XL5 to from Supercar to Fireball XL5 and Stingray and Thunderbirds, all for Jerry, working with Derek, of course. And Derek was the man who designed those icon 1, 2, 3 things that he never got really recognised for monetarily. That's another story.
Mm-hmm. Are there techniques that you took from that time that followed throughout your career when you went into your movie career?
No, not really. It was just part of generally learning about things, about chemicals and explosives and stuff like that. Because we had to scale all the explosives down, and we could only run the cameras to 120 frames a second, and we only had a very small plate to work in, and when we had water, we had a tank which was 14 feet by 14 feet, which had to be split every time we didn't use it, so it would be wheeled off the stage and all that sort of stuff. That had no bearing whatsoever on live action effects work later on, but it was all good grounding.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Hello, Brian. This is Jeff from New Jersey.
Hiya.
Nice to talk to you. Big fan, of course. Loved all your work with Jerry's shows and also Alien, of course. That was amazing.
Yeah, just keep massaging my ego. It doesn't.
It's always the best way to start, I think.
Yeah.
The question I have is, I know with the proliferation of CGI these days, unfortunately, at least in my opinion, the production of models for big feature films has been somewhat marginalized. That kind of makes me sad. I was just wondering how you think of that. I hope it's not too sensitive a question.
Okay. There is a place for CGI, obviously, because a lot of films wouldn't come out now if we hadn't got CGI. I mean, you just couldn't do them physically with models. And so CGI is good for removing rigs and all sorts of other things. And also, when it's used properly in conjunction with models, I think it's superb. But directors go to film schools who teach them, every cut must be about half a second long. Everything that happens within that half second models can be demonstrating, like fighters can come into the frame and then pull 48 G turns, which are impossible. And even if you're not the next person, your brain tells you that's not possible. That's why some of the CGI stuff doesn't work, because they're far too quick, and they change direction far quickly. For me, anyway, as an old filmic type, but the combination of effects of CGI and models, I think, works really well.
I think that's a good opinion. I agree with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't like to see the laws of physics defied too often.
Right. Film schools should not teach directors that they can have anything they want, because that's what makes the budgets of these things so expensive, because they suddenly say, oh, I want this and I want that. I know they plan it in the beginning, but then they keep adding to it, don't they?
Yeah.
And then poor actors have green screens to look at, and tennis balls on poles and things.
Sometimes less is more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. And I agree with you, and I prefer the old-fashioned way you did it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your time, and
Yes.
have a nice day. Take care.
Good evening, Brian. I'm Ruth from Germany, and I'm nervous like hell.
Good time, my darling.
I would like to know, when you look at the design of the Eagle, you can see that the landing pods are meant to be retractable. Why do we never see it that way?
Wasn't needed.
Wasn't needed, okay?
No, it was just, an aircraft has an undercarriage. On some aircraft models, you don't see them retract, but you know that they're going to go somewhere. And so when we did the legs on the Eagle, I had them shaped so they looked like they would fit up under the... Now, my original design for the Eagle actually had spherical pods, not the octagonal ones that were on there. They were spherical in front because I imagined that they would act like heat-shaped things. And then I like the shape with all the different facets and everything. It's photographic, more interesting. So I carried it all the way around there. And the undercarriage would have gone up into the thing, but we never needed it to do it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
G'day, Brian. Nick Tate.
Hi, how are you, man?
Bloody great, mate.
Good.
Yeah. Sorry you're not here because these folk are wonderful to be with. It was lovely to see you the last time. Unfortunately, you and I really have got fantastic connection because you're the man that made me famous. I'm the man that drove the Eagle. And people recognize that wherever I go. It's interesting because the other part of my life now is being a voiceover guy, and whenever I walk into voiceover studios and I'm working with people that don't know me, they know me as a voiceover guy, but the director and the writers and so forth are going, oh yeah, he's an actor, that's good. But the technicians always look at me and say, Nick, I remember you from Space 19. and it's amazing. Practically every technician I meet is like that, and it's all because they love the Eagles, man. I mean, it's that technical understanding and the recognition. And here, this convention really wouldn't be existing either if it weren't for the fact that there were so many model makers here. I mean, the guys that set the whole thing up are model makers. You know, they loved what you did, and there would never have been a Space 1999. And if there was, it wouldn't have been anywhere near as successful as it is, just because of you, man. And I wanted you to have that recognition.
Nick, it was my crew as well. I couldn't have done it on my own, honestly. My boys were just absolutely fantastic. So,
Yeah, they were. I remember we had been working on the show for about 6 weeks, I think, and I had never seen what the eagle looked like. And then they brought us out to Bray to meet you all, and it was so interesting and a thrill to see how you do that stuff with all the black curtains around and the eagles on wires, and it was sensational. And you had like 1 or 2 eagles, but I remember sometimes there was 12 eagles flying off in one direction. You said, "Yeah, we shoot them 12 times."
yeah, that's right. Yeah, sure.
Fascinating, man. And
all the moonscapes were photographic cutouts.
yeah, well, they're putting stuff up on the screen in here right now with exactly that. I didn't see that before. You've been doing that all the time?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and I had my eyes closed listening to you. Oh, there's all the eagles up there right now, man. That's wonderful. Yeah, you're not seeing it, but you've seen it a lot of times.
I've seen your lovely face, man.
My lovely face. Look at you, but you're all in shadow. Why are you in shadow? Get the lights on, baby. I hope to catch you next time, buddy. I'm going to hand you over to somebody else. But thank you for making my career so astounding.
Thank you for massaging my eagle.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Cheers,
Hi, Mr. Bryant. How are you doing? My name's Mike Reader, formerly from West Bromwich. You probably know where that is, north of London.
I do.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you for your email. When I had my thumb cut off, you sent me an email saying, "Hope my thumb gets better." I remember that. Thank you.
That's all right. Did it get better?
Yeah, it got better. It stuck back together. So that was good. Anyway, question. I'm a machinist, and you guys have kept me busy for the last 17 years making engine bells. Okay? Yeah, that's... So my question is, why was Eagle 1 and 2, why were their bells so different? Like, is it just preference, or... There's no consistency. Why were they different?
Didn't know they were they?
Most of my...
You're talking about thousands of an inch here, aren't you, and things like that?
No, the shape actually is different, and all the grooves are different, and yeah, there's... I just wondered if you had anything to do with that, or whether that was just the machinists who made them, or what?
What it was that the second one was made by a different modelling company, and the model didn't arrive until we were due to shoot, so we were waiting for it to turn up. And I just had to say, okay, let's go with it, you know.
Okay.
We're not going to change it. Too late.
Okay.
Because we're 5 or 6 shots a day in the can, multiple exposures with using negative film and then combining it all in the negative so that we didn't have any optical enhancements or anything, and then we had the shots. So we were very busy and we couldn't afford to wait another 2 weeks while they make new bells and things like that. So.
Okay. So finally then, and before I let you go, why did you use aluminium, or aluminum as these people like to say? Why did you use aluminium all the while? Because somebody mentioned that yesterday, that you insisted on using metal over plastic.
Well, because we were going to have jets coming out the back and stuff, and they just look better being in metal, you know, like the real ones.
Okay. Well, that's good.
That was it, really. And you could, it just looked better to me anyway.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time.
All right,
Thank
take
you.
care.
Thank you.
Hi again, Brian. It's Dean.
Hi.
Todd asked me to read some questions from some of the people on the Props and Ships group.
Okay.
All right, so the first one's from Mark Savory, or Savory. He asks, on the command module, are the silver things thrusters or radar dishes? Or what did you think they were meant to be?
I have no idea. Mystery. I've just been playing sort of white.
Well, it broke it up nicely. And we all have our theories.
Working on things and all sorts of other things.
I like to think of them as sensors, but other people think they're thrusters or something. I don't know. Okay, another, B.P. Taylor asks, one of the most impressive and realistic effect shots on Space 1999 were those involving the travel tube. He's never heard any behind the scenes, or never seen any behind the scenes pictures showing how this was filmed. Was wondering if you could give some insight as to how those shots were achieved.
Okay. It was a plastic drain pipe bought from a builder's merchants. And then it was clad in another drain pipe that was slightly bigger in diameter so it could slide inside. And there was a rod out the back. And it was put on the dolly, on the camera dolly, and then it was run up. So that we just slowly moved it up the tube. And there was only one section of that and only one piece of tube for all the shots. It was all library shots, really.
Oh.
Slightly different lighting on some of that.
Yeah, and you had lights inside one of those tubes.
We did, yeah.
Yeah, that was fantastic stuff. Giuliano Sanchez something. Sorry. Sorry I'm butchering these.
He's not here, don't worry.
He asks, are there any model photography techniques from Space 1999 that you would still use today? Or have motion control and digital prompts done away with all that?
Okay, we didn't use motion control because at the time we were building a motion control system, and we were behind the USA in doing that. And because in those days, it was so slow, you would do 1 frame a second or something to complete, and 24 frames gave you a second's worth of action. And that would have taken forever to shoot. So we had to do it all in camera against black velvet and just not use motion control. Because with motion control, you would do the shots and then you would have to combine everything together optically, which would have taken forever, like it did on with motion control later on. You had big optical units doing all the stuff. We did it all in the camera using techniques that went right back to Meinier and before that when film was first used. So we just used old technique, owned them up.
Excellent. Okay, Jeffrey Yanko asks, in Breakaway, how was the semi-spherical nuclear blast that erupts from behind the moon base Alpha rising over the lunar mountains achieved?
Okay. Photographic cutout of the moon surface, which was made, the moon surface I made with plaster, just throwing plaster onto a board, and then hitting it with a bucket full of water and a 6-inch brush, and throwing the brush against the plaster before it had set. It formed craters, so when it actually set and dried, it looked like the surface of the moon. So then we would re-photograph that with a Linhof camera and make big enlargements, probably from a 4x5 Linhof that would spread out to about 14 to 16 feet across on marine board. So it was a fiber board that was marine quality, so it wouldn't sort of disintegrate. And then we stuck the photographs on that, cut around it to give the horizon. And then behind that, I had a rear projection screen. And behind that, I had a 5K spotlight, but with the Fresnel lens off, so that it was straight so it's lit up and gave that hemispherical thing. Done.
Nice. No, that's
Took
great.
about 5 minutes to do.
And looked awesome. Jeffrey Yanko is asking, it looks like the Eagles are on 2 wires, at least the 44s. Hanging or suspended from 2 wires. He was wondering how you got them balanced, and boy, that must have been some pretty strong wire too for those things.
It was piano wire, very good quality piano wire. I've forgotten how many thou thick it was. If the 44-inch Eagle was banking and moving around, there were 3 wires on it, 1 at the front and 2 at the back to allow it to rock and roll a bit. If it was just going straight up and down, there would just be 2 wires, and that would get going over pulleys, and then with a counterweight, so that you could just raise it and lower it steadily.
Very good. Someone else just paying you a compliment, saying that you had and have the best looking planets that they've seen in any sci-fi.
How kind of them.
It's true too.
Well, okay, here we go. Hasselblad little frames that you put in projectors, the little Hasselblad frames. Open them up so you've got 1 sheet of glass, pour inks onto it with a solution in it that would evaporate, and then mix them around a bit, let it dry, put the other sheet of glass on, and these 2.5 square frames, and then stick it in the projector, and you have all these colours which you project onto a white sphere. Okay?
Yep.
You have a little electric motor on the stand of the projector that just pans the image very slowly across the planet's surface, as it were. And then on the other side you have a light, an open light with no front, give you the sort of, if you needed a sort of sunlight bit on that was bright white, or you just had 2 projectors running in sync to give you the sort of 3D spherical planet, whichever one we have. You could make them, I used to turn those out probably 10 or 11 at a time, and you could put one in the projector, choose it, take it out, put another slide in, and you had another planet. So it's really quick. That's because I was taught by a master called Les Bowie, who was a great lateral thinker, and he shaped my career basically by making me think to save time and not spend much money.
Yeah, no, the effects were fantastic.
We didn't have much money to spend on that production, despite what Jerry said.
We had to save it somewhere. Joe Belding is asking if you would please make a book or video behind the scenes of all your model work throughout the years, and thank him from the fans' perspective and model builders. And then there's several people who put comments under that saying what a great idea. So they want you to write a book.
I've got a book in part on my iMac, but the lawyers, when I showed some of it to a lawyer, he said, I think you need to revise that a bit.
Well, keep working at it.
I will, because I'm doing it for my grandchildren, actually.
Oh, well, you're doing it for all of us, believe me.
It's like if you fade off the scene, the grandparents, the grandchildren say, "Oh, what did Granddad do? What did he do?" So I thought I'd give them some notes to look at.
Well, you've left some marvelous stuff behind to show them too.
Give them the Blu-ray set for Christmas.
Yeah, get them a Blu-ray set for Christmas. Oh, we got it? Yeah, good. All right, we got another question for you. Hold on.
Okay.
Hello, Brian. Phil Merkel from Long Island, New York. How are you? It's so good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you, Bill.
So, what an honor. Due to the good graces of David Hirsch, my wife and I got to hold one of the Hero Eagles in our hands last night in the model room, and it's so awesome to talk to you and be here at this convention and talk to and see the actual screen used, some screen used items. It's just the coolest thing ever. I wanted to ask you about A Death's Other Dominion, there's the scene of the moon over the snowscape in the background there. And it's always been, even though the premise of the show was kind of crazy, but our own moon over these planets or solar systems or starscapes has always been the stuff of great dreams and great imaginations for me. And can you talk a little bit about that? Those shots in Death's Other Dominion with the snowscape and the moon just hovering by there, and poor Nick Tate freezing his toes off.
Well, what happens is you get a script and it says in it the moon hovers somewhere and all the snow and everything. So we put marble dust and all sorts of other things on the ground and plaster to make it look like snow. And then we double expose planets in and stars and everything else. So the thing in the end becomes a composite picture, but we only shoot it one bit at a time. And I have to say, cross my heart, I can't mess up but that's how we would have done it.
Well, it's just an amazing thing, and it's the stuff of it just energized so many imaginations, and it's just an inspiration. And thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, here we go.
Hey Brian, it's Nick again. Just listening to all this stuff, I am utterly fascinated by how you've done all this, and to think that all those years ago I just took it for granted. And now I'm discovering the secrets of Space 1999. And this, of course, would make a great coffee table book, which you say you're going to put together, but every bit as much as that, because it's about a television series, this would make a great television spectacular special with, of course, the wonderful narration voice of Nick Tate.
Yes.
And you delivering the answers to all the questions which I could pose to you, and showing, and then bits, grabs out of each episode where we see the wonderful and exotic scenes happening, like that shot over the ice planet with the moon in the background, and then you show how you did it. Do you think that's possible, that you could go back through all those things and dissect them? Because it's just so fascinating sitting here listening to you doing it now. I'm thinking, this would make a great 90-minute special on television.
Yeah, well, I tell you, Nick, so long as I can see what it is the questions that people are asking me by taking a clip out of one of the shows, I can always dissect that and say how we did it. Yeah, no problem.
That's the way to go. Yeah, well, we should talk more about it and find a producer that wants to get involved.
Hello again, Brian. It's Christopher.
Hi, Christopher.
We've heard a lot of stories from the actors about the differences between years 1 and 2, and I was wondering if you could shed some light on what it was like to be the special effects director between the 2 seasons. What were the differences, attitudes on the set, or anything?
Okay, season 1 was, we sort of got on top of it pretty well, and then season 2 came along, and there was changes in the script, in the actual format of the thing. I was told that we didn't have very much money to spend on anything, and everything had to be cut down, and we had to find a way, Catherine Shell transforming into whatever it was that she was transforming. We didn't have any money. And the only thing I could think of doing, this is just one thing that happened in the second series, was for the camera to zoom in on her eye and then do a quick optical mix, and then zoom out with her, whoever he was in, or whatever the creature was that she was representing. And we had a script. I'm not sure that. Jerry Anderson was told that by Abe Mandel in the States that he didn't think the show was very good, and so it had to be G'd up. So they tried G'ing it up, but I think it went downhill rather than uphill. And so one of the things that happened was that they got a new script supervisor who was recommended Jerry by Gene Roddenberry of Star Trek. And Jerry asked him who he could recommend as a script supervisor. Well, asking your rival guy recommend somebody to look after the scripts, I thought wasn't a terribly good idea. Dear old Freddie Frogberger came along, and well, he was good. He tried, but I don't think he succeeded, frankly, and that's why we never made any more after the second series. That's it, really bluntly.
What was the mood in your studio when you were working on the second series? Were you as excited as the first, or was there a different feeling?
No, we had good fun doing our stuff. Our stuff was always interesting, and trying to find ways of doing things as well as we could with as little as we had in the way of money and stuff. Yeah, that was okay. It kept everybody motivated.
Okay.
They were okay. But poor Keith Wilson in Pinewood, because we were a brand, he was at Pinewood, the production designer. I mean, he had no money to make his alien suits and things. I mean, it's really unfair.
We miss Keith a lot.
Yeah, he was a great guy. A great guy.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Hi, Brian. It's Roy again.
Hi.
Hey, when I met you in Peterborough in 2014, I remember asking you what your favorite eagle was, and I just have to say, and you had responded that the one that was used in the Metamorph with the spine boosters.
Yeah.
And to me, that has always been my favorite, and I wished it had been used in other episodes, and I do realize that it basically depends upon what the script calls for, but to me that always was the most beautiful, and it just was very sleek, and it just really was a nice piece.
It was busy.
Yeah.
Very busy. Which is anxious.
Now, the other thing I wanted to mention too is in the second series, you really never disconnected the passenger module or command module like you did in the first season. So was that something that you noticed or was picked up upon? And again, the scripts is what is going to dictate the stories, but.
I don't know, it never really occurs to me, but I guess that was to do with story length, those decisions, not anything else.
Right. Okay. Just wanted to comment. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, Brian, it's Todd.
Hi, Tom.
Hey, you said earlier about the 44s, the second one being made by a different company. Why did you go somewhere else? Were you guys just too busy? Space Models didn't want to do it, or?
Well, Space Models were splitting up. That was part of the problem. They formed other companies. Some of the guys went off with one company and some went off with another. And I just got hold of somebody that could do the job, and that was it, really.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't anything other than that.
Okay.
And then basically, the modelers that were with Space Models, some of them worked on the second one.
And I was led to believe too that since they didn't have the one that you were using for filming, that was where some of the differences came from, because it didn't have it to go by.
Well, they had untold numbers of stills, large stills and everything to look at, but when it came along, it was okay. Frankly, I didn't think anybody would notice, but of course, modelers will always notice things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Okay, I got one more guy here for you. We got about 5 minutes left.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Hello, Brian.
Hi.
Yeah, it's David. I'm from Long Island.
Hi, David.
Yes, I have this may be a strange question, but how were you able to get the Eagles to land in the proper place within the launch pad?
Well, the Eagles were strung on 3 wires, one at the front and one at either side at the back, and up to a T-shaped piece of wood, which I or somebody else would be standing over the top on a platform, and you would fly it like you would fly a model. You'd it's like for real, three-dimensional model, and you'd move it around, and then bring it down wherever it had to come down. Not a problem.
Oh, I see. Because the deviation, they could have been sucked into space.
Say that again?
Any deviation, and they could have been sucked out into space.
What good?
I mean, if it was not in the proper position, I mean. And then they opened the doors.
Oh, the tube lining up.
I don't think they opened the doors when they were in space, did they?
Well, I mean, if it wasn't properly positioned, I mean, that could have happened.
With the travel tube, yes.
Yeah.
With the Eagles landing, with the Eagles landing.
is up now.
Okay. That's what I mean, okay.
It's a TV show, you know.
Just one more. Okay. Okay, Brian, I'm just going to read one more question that we have too. This one is coming from Jeffrey Yanko. In year one's opening title sequence, we see an eagle spinning and dropping to the lunar surface, exploding with music crescendo. Brilliant sight and sound. But tell us, did you really let an eagle free fall? And how did you achieve the spin of the drop?
Okay. The wires that held the eagle up, there were two of them, were gathered fairly nearly close together at the top, way out of frame. And that was over a pulley. And then, as it was lowered, somebody got hold of it and spun it out the frame, so it was just spinning. And then it was lowered down to the ground. And in the ground, we had some explosions, and we just hit the explosions as it hit the ground, and that was it.
I mean, that's kind of iconic for all of us.
Easy peasy.
Brian, I want to thank you for doing this, the Skype with us, and just being here with us, with the fans, and this really means a lot to us. And I'm just happy, that we were able to have you. Thank you so much for your work. And I think what Nick was talking about, I think everybody in this room would say you really need to get together with Nick and work on putting that together, because I know everybody will be waiting to see that and hear that and watch that on television.
Buy the DVD.
I'm going to bring Nick back up just to speak to you for another moment. Here he is.
I'm going to find out how I speak to you, because we can do this together. And I know that Todd and the guys that they will help me select scenes that we feel the fans would love to know the secrets of, and then you can explain them. And if we can get the rights from whoever has got the footage, maybe we can't, I don't know.
We have a mutual friend in Peter Greenwood, don't we?
We certainly do, yes.
Okay, well, we'll sort something out with him probably.
Right, buddy? Okay, buddy, we'll talk.
Okay, mate, take care.
Bye.
Mr. Brian Johnson, everyone, thank you.
I'll call you sometime this week.
Okay, keep taking the pills.
See you.